Hey everyone, this is Luca from Hyperweb. Today I want to show you how to use the Hyperweb MCP server to set up and configure Starship in your project. First of all, what is Starship? Starship is a unified development environment that allows Cosmos developers to spin up a fully simulated mini Cosmos ecosystem and write end-to-end test cases. It has a few steps to set up, and also you need to be aware of the syntax to configure it. So to make things easier, we created this MCP server to help with the setup and configuration. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is to copy the string and add it to Cursor or any other AI editor that supports MCP. So let's go to Cursor and open the settings. Go to MCP and add new global MCP server. And paste the string, save it, and now we can see that the Hyperweb MCP server is added and working. It has a few tools, so let's try them out. Make sure you're using the agent mode, then let's tell it to add Starship to this project. First is checking whether Starship is already set up in this project. Since we don't have it yet, you will set it up from the start. First, calling the setup Starship MCP tool, and using the Starship command line to check the dependencies that Starship needs to run, and verify Docker is running, and check Kubernetes is enabled and connect with Docker, and then installing the Starship command line to the project, and created the Starship configuration file using the generate Starship config MCP tool. It also added a script to run Starship easily. And finally, Starship is starting. In the meantime, we can review the changes it has made. First, it created the config file with some basic configurations, and then added the Starship script, and also installed the Starship command line as a dev dependency. Okay, now it has successfully set up and started. We can now interact with these chains using these endpoints. Now let's take a look at the config file. It's pretty basic. To add more features, we can just tell it to, for example, add Juno chain to the Starship config and also as a relayer between Juno and Osmosis. We can see it called the generate Starship config MCP tool to generate the new configurations, and then it stops the current server and started a new Starship server. And then we can see in the config the Juno is added here, and also there's a relayer between Juno and Osmosis. Okay, now it has added the Juno chain and set up the relayers between Juno and Osmosis. We can now interact with all these chains using these endpoints. So that's it for this video. Have fun with the Hyperweb MCP server. If you have any questions or run into any issues, please let us know, and thanks for watching.